Beyond the 26, spoilers, A Mother's Reckoning, A feud reignited. And could Kat finally let it go? Spoilers, finally let it go. Spoilers for Thursday, March 26th. We've got Isaiah finally having to answer to his mama about Ava. Leslie and Vernon going head to head again. And brace yourselves, Kat and Ted might actually be turning a corner. Iria won. Not a fake one. Let's get into it. The moment we've all been waiting for, Darlene enters the chat. Okay. So, first things first. We have known for a while now that Isaiah's mother, Darlene, the police dispatcher, has been hovering in the background of this story. And by hovering, I mean she's been this looming presence that the show keeps teasing us with. We know she works in law enforcement. We know she is deeply connected to the community. And we absolutely know that a woman in her position has heard things, seen things, and connected dots that most people haven't even noticed yet. So when the spoilers tell us that Thursday's episode finally gives us Isaiah defending Eva to his mother, I need everyone to understand the full weight of what that means. This isn't just a cute little mom. I really like this girl conversation. This is Isaiah standing in front of a woman who probably knows more about the Richardsons, the Duprees, and everybody else in Fairmont Crest than almost anyone, and saying, I choose her. Now, here's where my analysis gets interesting. Think about what Darlene likely already knows. She's a police dispatcher. Information flows through her. She may very well know about Eva's mother Leslie's ongoing war with the Duprees. She may have heard chatter about the Shouse situation. She almost certainly knows about the kind of drama that swirls around the Richardson family name. So when Darlene pushes back on Eva, it's probably not coming from nowhere. It's coming from a place of genuine, informed concern. And that actually makes her a far more compelling character than a simple overprotective mom stereotype. Here's my personal take. I think Darlene is going to say something that cuts deep, not something petty, not something shallow. She's going to lay out a case logical, calm, maybe even a little heartbreaking about why this relationship worries her. And Isaiah, bless his heart, is going to defend Ava anyway. Because that boy is head gone over this girl. You can see it every time they share a scene. He is not listening to warnings. He is not pumping the brakes. He is all in. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to. Isaiah's blind spot when it comes to Ava isn't really about Ava herself. Ava seems like a genuinely good person who is unfortunately dragging the weight of her mother's chaos everywhere she goes. Isaiah's blind spot is that he keeps underestimating how much Leslie's actions affect every relationship Eva is in. He thinks he can separate loving Eva from dealing with Leslie's mess. And every week, the show is quietly, patiently proving him wrong. This mother-son conversation on Thursday, I think it's the universe's latest attempt to make him see that whether he listens is another story entirely. And the bigger question I have, and I know some of you are thinking about this too, is what happens when Darlene's professional world and her personal world start to collide? Because if Jacob is still investigating and pulling at threads, at some point those threads are going to lead somewhere that involves people Darlene cares about. That's a story I am here for. Leslie versus Vernon, round 2, and she's coming in hot, all right? Let's talk about what I am personally calling the most entertaining feud on daytime television right now. And that is Leslie Richardson going up against Vernon Dupree. Because nothing about this woman is subtle. And I love to hate every second of it. So let's recap where we are. Vernon, a man whose wife is literally fighting cancer. A man who is carrying the weight of his family's pain on his shoulders every single day, took the time to shut down Leslie's Shouse construction. And honestly, good for him. That Shouse situation has been a thorn in everybody's side. And the fact that Leslie chose to build what many people in Fairmont Crest see as an eyesore directly across from the Dupree mansion tells you everything you need to know about Leslie's motivations. This isn't about building a home. This is about a statement This is about planting a flag. This is about saying, I am here, and you cannot ignore me. Vernon made it very clear in their last confrontation that he is not the one. He got up in Leslie's face and look, I'm not here to endorse aggressive confrontations, but there was something deeply satisfying about watching Vernon, usually so dignified and composed, finally reach his limit with this woman and let her know clearly and directly that she has overstepped, and now Leslie is coming back. She is confronting him again on Thursday, and I have to ask, what is her strategy here? Exactly, because she has to know that Vernon is not going to cave. This man has dealt with real estate developers, politicians, and people far more powerful than Leslie Richardson. He is not going to crumble because she shows up at his door with that signature Leslie energy. What bothers me most about Leslie in this storyline, and I know some fans actually root for her, and I get it. She's compelling, she's driven, but the thing that makes her genuinely difficult to sympathize with is her absolute stone cold refusal to acknowledge that Anita is sick. Anita Dupree is fighting for her life. Her faith is shaken. Her spirit is exhausted. And Leslie has shown zero empathy. Not a flicker. Not even a performative, I'm sorry about Anita, to try to soften Vernon before she makes her demands. Nothing. That tells me something really specific about Leslie as a character. It's not just that she's selfish. It's that she has compartmentalized her ambition so completely that other people's suffering literally does not register as relevant data to her. It doesn't factor into her calculations. And that is a particular kind of ruthlessness that is genuinely fascinating to watch, even when it makes you want to throw something at your screen. My prediction for round 2, Vernon holds the line again. But I think Leslie might try a different tactic this time. Instead of going full scorched earth immediately, maybe she tries to find an angle, some leverage, some piece of information, some pressure point that she thinks can move Vernon. She's smart enough to know that what she did in round 1 didn't work. So she's going to try something different. And whatever that something is, I suspect it's going to have consequences that ripple outward into the rest of the story. What I'm really watching for in this scene is whether Leslie shows even a single moment of genuine vulnerability, because the show has been hinting very carefully, very subtly, that under all that armor there is a person who is terrified of not mattering, of being invisible, of building all of this and still not being seen as worthy. If that comes through in this confrontation, even just a crack in the surface, then this scene could be extraordinary. If it's just two people yelling at each other, still entertaining, but not extraordinary. Kat and Ted, can a broken bond actually heal? Now this is the storyline that actually has my heart involved. Because the falling out between Kat and her father Ted has been one of the most painful, most realistic things this show has done. And I mean that as a compliment. When Leslie's actions tore the Richardson family apart and reshaped everyone's world, the collateral damage was enormous, but Kat's particular brand of pain stood out to me from the beginning. Because Kat didn't just feel betrayed by Leslie, she felt betrayed by her father, by the choices he made, by the chaos he allowed into their lives, by the way things were never quite put back together the way they were before. And Kat, being who she is, did not quietly process that pain. She externalized it loudly, repeatedly, with full commitment. The fact that she couldn't be in the same room as Ava and Leslie without it turning into a verbal confrontation that is not just drama for drama's sake. That is a young woman who is still bleeding from a wound she doesn't know how to close. And Ted, for all his efforts to move forward and keep the peace, has struggled to reach her because Kat doesn't want peace. Or rather, she wants a specific kind of peace, one where what happened is properly acknowledged, properly grieved, properly named, not swept under a rug. So when the spoilers say that Kat and Ted come to an understanding on Thursday, I want to know what that actually looks like. Because if it's a real moment, a genuine acknowledgement of each other's pain, that has the potential to be one of the most emotionally resonant scenes this show has produced. The theory I keep coming back to is that watching Anita Dupree suffer has done something to Kat. It's hard to stay locked in your grudge when life is giving you a very loud, very clear reminder that time is not infinite. That the people you love won't always be there. That there will come a day when you can't have the conversation you've been putting off. Kat is smart. She sees that, and maybe finally she's choosing differently. Not because she's forgotten or forgiven everything in some neat little bow, but because she loves her father and she's tired. And sometimes being tired of the fight is its own kind of grace. If this reconciliation is handled with the care and nuance that I think it deserves, it could become the emotional backbone of where the show goes next. A father and daughter who have found their way back to each other, carrying the scars of what happened, but choosing to move forward anyway, that's compelling. That's something worth rooting for. The supporting moves, Ashley, Jakob, and the wild card that is Bill. Let's quickly hit the other storylines moving on Thursday. Because each of them has something interesting cooking. Ashley delivering good news is something the Duprees desperately need. After weeks of heartbreak and uncertainty around Anita's health, any sliver of hope is going to land with enormous emotional weight. I'm curious whether this good news is medical, some development in Anita's treatment, or whether it's something more practical, like movement on the Schaus situation. Either way, Ashley's role in this family's life has been growing in interesting ways, and I'm paying attention. Jacob pumping Grayson for information is a thread that feels like it's building towards something genuinely significant. The detective got Grayson to open up a little during Tuesday's episode. Clearly not enough. What is Grayson holding on to? What does he know that he doesn't want to share? And more importantly, who is he protecting? Because in my read of this story, Grayson's reluctance isn't just self-preservation. There's someone else in the picture. Someone whose exposure he's trying to prevent. Figure that out. And you figure out a lot about where this investigation is headed. And then there's Bill, getting a shocking request. Now, Bill just proved his value to the Duprees by finding the legal mechanism to pause Leslie's construction. So it makes complete sense that someone, maybe Anita, maybe Vernon, maybe someone we're not expecting is coming to him with something bigger, something more complicated. Something that might require him to walk a very fine ethical line. Bill as a character has always been interesting precisely because he operates in the space between what's right and what's necessary. This request is going to test that. Final Thoughts Thursday's episode of Beyond the Gates is setting up to be one of those episodes that doesn't just move plot, it moves people. The Isaiah and Darlene conversation could change everything